we have discussed in the past so many reasons and so many sources and angles why it is so important to yearn and look forward to and to implore Hashem, and even from the Chafetz Chaim to demand from Hashem that we should have the redemption, we should have the Geula. There are those who ask on all this that seemingly this might be a contradiction, a stira, to the girsa that Rashi has in the Gemara, in Ksuvis, Daf Kuf Yud Aleph Amud Aleph, that over there the Gemara says that Hashem, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, made a Shavua, was mashpia the Yidden. Rashi's girsa is, Shelo Yidchaku Es HaKetz, which literally means they shouldn't push the agenda that the Geula should come when we want it to. It should come whenever Hashem is ready. We shouldn't be dochek Es HaKetz. And Rashi's mefarish over there, Rashi says that they shouldn't be marbe betachnunim, they shouldn't beg al kach yoser midai, they shouldn't beg very much. So it sounds very strong that we shouldn't demand it and we shouldn't beg for it and yearn for the Geula according to this. That's what it seems like. However, this question was already spoken about in many poskim, and a few of the answers are, one of them is from the Shut Avnei Nezer, from the Sachat Shaver, in Yoredeya Simin Taf Nun Dalet, Sivkot and Mem, and on, where he says as follows: this Shavua that the Gemara in Ksuvas is talking about is not practical now, for a few reasons. One reason is because there's another Shavua that was made at the same time, and that was, number one, that Yidden shouldn't push the agenda of Geula, of the redemption. The other one was that the Goyim shouldn't be meshabed the Yidden too much during Galus. The Goyim shouldn't make the exile too difficult for the Yidden. And therefore, being that the Goyim didn't keep their side of the deal, they didn't keep their Shavua, that Hashem was mashpia them, so our Shavua is also off, because they didn't keep their side, and therefore we're allowed to be dochek Es HaKetz. That's one explanation which is given why the Shavua, that we shouldn't be dochek Es HaKetz, is not practical now. Another explanation is that the Shavua that Hashem made, that the Yidden shouldn't push the agenda of Ketz, already was only for the first 1,000 years of the Galus, and we are way past, we're almost double that time. So there's no question that after the first 1,000 years, that Shavua is off, and Yidden are allowed to try to be dochek Es HaKetz. Likewise, it says in other Svarim that after the year 5,500 from Ma'aseh Bereishis, after the year of Hey Tov Kuf, after the first 500 years of this last millennium, then we're allowed to, it's not called dochek Es HaKetz anymore, it's not called dochek Es HaKetz, because this is the Zman of the Ketz. The Zman of the Ketz is the last 500 years of the 6th millennium. And in Avkas Reichel, in Chelik Beitz Klal Tes, he says that not only is it permissible to be marbe b'tachnunim, to really implore Hashem to bring the Geula, but it's a mitzvah rabbah, he says. It's a great mitzvah to implore Hashem to bring the Geula, and the person doesn't have to be worried about it. However, the Chassam Sofer takes us to the next level. The Chassam Sofer, in Shut Chassam Sofer, Chelik Vav, Siman Pei Vav, and he says as follows. He speaks about the Rashi in Ksuvas, and he says that the whole problem of dochek Es HaKetz that Rashi was talking about, the problematic pushing of the Geula, that the Geula should come, was through Kabbalistic actions, which is called Kabbalah Maisis. Kabbalah Maisis is something that people are not familiar with, most people are not familiar with, but they use certain Kabbalistic powers in the practical world to make things happen, to make changes, to push their agenda, and it's something which people have tried and have used throughout history, as there are stories. But says the Chassam Sofer, that's what Rashi is talking about, which is not permissible. But just to look forward and to daven and to implore Hashem for the Geula, there was never such a prohibition. People could always do that. Even in the first 1,000 years of the Galus, such a thing would have been mutter. And in L'Kutei Sichos Chelik Chaf, page 384, this concept is reflected and added to, that the only meaning of dochek Es HaKetz, of trying to push and force the Geula to happen, was only talking about Kabbalah Maisis, like the Chassam Sefer mentions, and Hashboas Malachim, the type of thing of making Malachim make a shvua, that they'll reveal certain things and force things that the Geula should be able to come according to what's known in these spiritual sugyas. But if a person is only trying to quicken and hasten the coming of the Geula through adding in Torah and mitzvahs, through thinking with kavanah, what we say during davening, our eyes should see. Our eyes should see Hashem return to Tzia and to Yerushalayim. And this is something that should happen right away. So when a person is davening these things, and they have very strong kavanah, that meheira satzmiach, and eineinu, our eyes should be able to behold the coming of the redemption. And he has a lot of kavanah, then he's going to think to himself, what could I do about this? As a regular person, not a person who knows Kabbalah, not a person who does Hashboas Malachim, what could I do about it? I could do another mitzvah. I could be mahadir more b'mitzvahs, with the kavanah to be makayim, to bring closer the fulfillment of the things that I spoke about during davening. So that's not a problem. And we find in many places in Tanakh, an additional point, we find the term ad mosai, where we see it in Tillim and in other places in Tanakh, and also in Tikkun Chatzos, we see this lashon that we're asking Hashem ad mosai, until when? We're being toiveya, we're imploring Hashem, we're begging Hashem, until when is this going to continue? Until when will these tzaras continue? And so on. And so when we look at it from this perspective, it's very clear that this is a need. The coming of the Geula is not just a nice thing which is going to happen. It's a basic need for us, and we know that a Yid has to ask for his needs. So this adds another angle to the tzefiyah, to the looking forward, that not only is it something which it's the time for it, and it's something that it's permissible and it could be done in a permissible way, as we explained, but this is a basic need. A Yid has to ask for his need, just like a Yid has to ask for Baruch Aleinu and Rifa'enu and Slach Lanu and so on. He has to ask for all his needs. When a Yid is asking for the coming of Moshiach, this is a Yid's needs. This is what a Yid, this is what our needs are. This is what we need. And if we would really ask for our needs with tremendous kavanah and really feel that it's a need, then there's no question that we will be zeicha, we will merit to behold the coming of Mashiach speedily in our